Welcome to the Music and Sound Alumni webinar. Our graduates are a talented bunch and we can't wait to share their stories with you of what life's been like since graduating from USW. Hello, I'm absolutely thrilled and delighted to be here with Jack Boston, the drum and bass DJ, producer, sound engineer, based in Cardiff and an ex-student at USW. So, hi Jack, how are you today?
All good, very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks. Absolutely thrilled to be meeting up with you again after many years of knowing you through Catapult Records. And
yeah, that's it. Yeah, I was thinking about that this morning actually, like going down there into the basement and like spending hours with I must have been like 16 going in there, and I was just it was a real cool look into that world at that age. You know, it was all these, like, you know, we had John Dabbs behind the counter. I thought he was the coolest guy in the world. He is the coolest guy in the world, actually. Excuse me. Yeah, it's brilliant. What thank you for that part of my youth.
Yeah, well, it seems that from that time there's been no stopping you in terms of your career progression, and I'm very keen to hear about that today, and specifically how the University of South Wales have kind of like fed into your journey. So, you know, to start, tell us about your USW journey.
So yeah, I started straight out of college. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I just knew I liked music, so I thought I'd go and do a music degree in sort of production engineering, and just fell in love with it really. And yeah, just loved the facilities that the Atrium had to offer, the community, like being from Cardiff, but being in that world in Cardiff is very cool because it's very close knit community, and so it was a great opportunity to meet lots of like-minded people and lots of really sort of tenacious people as well, who were really going for the same thing I was. It was great. It was a really collaborative atmosphere in the Atrium. It was like, whether it was bands or people or fellow engineers, you know, we could all just kind of pile in, exchange knowledge, and exchange skills and techniques. It was a really great time, actually. I loved it.
You did the master's course, didn't you? And
I did, yeah. I finished my degree because kind of I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, so I thought, let's do the masters as well. Why not, you know? And it was a great move. I was really glad I did it. I met some new students who had come in who hadn't done the undergrad, and some really great people I met on that course, you know, and people who are still, you know, working and doing their thing today, you know, so really stuck at it. It's really cool.
How have things been for you since you graduated? What happened?
So I think I finished my masters, and then I then started going to work at Ramesh's studio, who is just a great musical philanthropist in Cardiff, really, and further afield. Ramesh is great. You know, he's so good for just taking new people in and, you know, and teaching them the ways. And so I did that with him for a while, and then he took me to Rockfield Studios, and I just loved that. I was there for like 2 or 3 days with him. And of course, it's worth mentioning, this was all kind of done on a voluntary basis, of course. And that is a fundamental part of, I believe, of anyone getting into this world. You have to be willing to do it on a voluntary basis. But anyway, and then I went to Rockfield, and I met the studio manager there, and a few of the other staff, and I was just very, very light and easy, very sort of, just really trying to be a nice person around the place, really. And Lisa then invited me to start just coming and sitting in on sessions, making tea and stuff like that, making a lot of tea. I got really good at making tea. Um, and yeah, and eventually it was just, I think it must have been about 6 months later, and I'd learned the studio as well. The in-house engineer there, Joe Jones, had taught me a lot, and really taken a lot of time to teach me his way of doing things, which is a very good way, in my opinion. And it was that kind of classic thing, really. Like another engineer couldn't make it for the session, and they're like, "Can you stand in? Can you fill in?" I was like, "Yeah," and that was that. The session went really well. It was with a band called Spiritualized, so it was like a really great first gig to be working to be doing, and that was it, really. That was, and then I started getting paid to be there, and nearly 3 years on now, still there.
Yeah.
It's great.
To build your career, and it's all about the hard work and being in the right time, right place, and
Exactly, yeah. You've got to make your own luck, you know. And you know, it was you know, I was having to drive up there a lot, and it was kind of yeah, if I'd kind of considered for a second, like, hang on, like, you know, you're doing all this work for free, and that I thought about in those terms, then it would have never worked, you know. And that's where the true passion for it comes, really. You know, you have to have that. You have to be willing to do it for free, and you know, and give a lot of yourself.
You've evidently got that drive and an abundance of it. So in terms of your own career, tell us about your as a producer as well as a sound engineer. You know, what's been happening with your producers? Like, I see you found a good home with Symmetry Records.
Yeah, I mean, so that was when I was I got signed to Symmetry when I was 18, and that was just because, you know, this started from like making beats in my room, you know, just on a computer, and yeah, and I love doing that, and that was for quite a while, actually. My main thing was just DJing, and you know, they got me loads of gigs, and I was able to travel around the UK and Europe and go to festivals and stuff, and it's great, you know. It's like, what, you know, really, really cool cool way to spend your teens, you know, or your later teens, my later teens. But yeah, I mean, I think I just kind of I was always kind of known for making quite musical drum and bass, and like using a lot of recorded stuff, and I think I was always meant to go into more of the band side of stuff and more of the kind of production for bands rather than electronic production. Don't get me wrong, I still love doing it. I still do it, and I've still released with Symmetry, but nowadays it's shifted more to a producer role, working with bands, producer engineer, as opposed to kind of producer DJ.
It's been a progressive path for you.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, it's good, and that was, you know, that was coming up making drum and bass. Like, drum and bass is actually really hard to make, you know. It's like a really quite a technically demanding genre to make, and so it was a really good way to come up through that, because it teaches you a lot about kind of quite refined engineering and stuff like that. And then also, you know, like coming up through the clubs and playing it at nights like Aperture and stuff like that. You know, it builds up your, you know, your knowledge of what music works and like how to get a room moving and stuff like that. And that's no doubt has informed the stuff that I do now, you know. It's a weird path that I've taken. It's kind of but, you know, that's what we're saying.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely musically abundant, and I think that's, you know, why all of us go onto these musical career paths. There is no set career path, as we were talking earlier, and so in order to kind of forge your own roots, it quite often takes twists and turns along the way, doesn't it?
For sure, yeah, and you know, I think you definitely have to have like a clear idea of what you want, because I've in the past I've not been sure, and you kind of, you know, your life kind of meanders, and different opportunities present themselves, you kind of grab at all of them, and you're not really going anywhere, and that invariably happens at the beginning of anything, because you're trying to work out what you want to do. But that's been quite valuable for me, is like deciding that present themselves. It's a lot easier to choose to go with them or against them, because you know what you want, and so that's, I was sort of taught that from quite a young age, and that's been very valuable, especially in this world, because there's so many sort of variants of it, and there's so many places that opportunity can come from. And it can, if you take it all, then you're not going to really excel at any.
So that's one of your key tips is focus then, is it, Jack?
Well, yeah, I mean, know what you want.
Yeah.
And, and be sure of what path you're going to take. And it becomes a lot easier to make decisions, and knowing what opportunities to take.
Yeah, I think that's good advice, because that's obviously something that's driven you to do things voluntary, because you're quite clear on the value, and it's not just monetary value. It's all about experience, isn't it, and getting that work.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've done engineering gigs in the past where I've chased the money and done chosen a gig that's given me a larger amount of pay, but it's often I would have been better off going with a less well paid gig that would have been more rewarding in other ways. I think that is definitely the way to go.
So so we're about to validate a new BA music producing degree at the University of South Wales, and I had a sneak preview at the programme that we're launching in September 2021. What did you think of it?
It looks great, yeah. I mean, again, like I said, just being in that space and having a common interest and being in those facilities, that's the one thing that just blew me away going to the Atrium. It's just the amount of microphones I could try, the amount of different consoles there, both vintage and modern, and just and the inspiring characters that were inside the space, like the tutors and my peers.
So do you think, what do you think the benefit is for, you said you started just kind of making beats, and that's a common starting point for many producers and engineers. So, what do you think the benefit is from actually going and studying a course in kind of music producing, and, taking in that academic environment, and how do you feel that really kind of sets you up to carve your route into the industry?
I think the most valuable is guest lectures. That was something that was just so great for me. Speaking to people who have been through all the kind of trials of it and made a career out of it, and just being in a kind of aside from all the great the lectures and all the kind of learning material, that's all great. But I think the real value comes in, working with your peers, developing your people skills. I've worked with a lot of producers through Rockfield, and it's often their interpersonal skills that kind of make them really good at their job. Being able to read a person, being able to understand their vision and immerse themselves in it. And I'd say that's something, that I was able to develop in the Atrium, because, I was working with lots of different people from lots of different backgrounds. I was obsessed with recording. I just wanted to record everyone. So I was just asking anyone to come in. Do you want free recording? Come in. And, and you meet so many different characters, and so I'd say for any students doing that, just focus on working with people, because I mean, of course, people do make a living from, or do their work from producing, on their own, like I did for a long time. But yeah, collaboration is a big part of that, a big part of that world.
I think that's good advice, really. And I was wondering what other advice you've got, or any tips for students that are studying on our courses and about to graduate, and any tips and advice for them.
I would say, yeah, like I mentioned previously, like, work on your interpersonal skills and just just learn how to read people and how to get into their head, because that is an incredibly valuable skill, to be able to understand their vision and sort of bring it into fruition, but I mean, one of the most valuable things I did was I booked out the studios, I think it was twice a week when I was studying for the whole year. I just went to the text and said, I want these 2 days every week for the rest of the year. And, fair play to them, they did it. And I just got I'd just go into the studio on my own for these 4-hour sessions, or I can't remember, 3 or 4 hour sessions. And I would just get completely confused and lost. I wouldn't know what I was doing, but eventually I did, and I just, I guess it's a bit different because I was really interested in engineering at that point, and I don't know if the course is as geared towards that, but from my personal experience, it's just using the facilities, because they are amazing at the Atrium, and all the different types of microphone, understanding, all these different kind of colors that you can use to capture sound. That was definitely the most valuable thing. Use facilities and meet people.
Well, Jack Boston, it's been fantastic talking to you. We can't wait to have you to come back into the Atrium and actually meet students in real life and share some more of your experience. And we wish you all the very best going forwards, and look forward to hearing more from you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All the best.